if you guys are frustrated with your LinkedIn, don't understand where the jobs are, all of that, then we can talk about this checklist and make sure that your LinkedIn is whipped up into shape, right? And that you actually feel like, oh my God, I see the different sectors. Oh my God, I am learning with LinkedIn as much as, I feel like I should be. Because one of the things that I find when I work with my mentees is there's this wall, and you guys probably feel it. You're here because you probably are frustrated, just like they are. There's this wall for a variety of reasons. Your algorithm is wonky, it's skewed, you don't have enough connections, your logos are not correctly associated to your past companies, you're afraid of listing past companies because you've been told to strip that from your, resume, thus you strip it from your LinkedIn. So there's a variety of things that might be going on for you. And so what I've done here in just one easy checklist, which I'll be providing to all of you in the chat in a minute, but also the Calendly link so you guys can have your bonus session. I wanted you guys to walk away with like, okay, what should I focus on? And this is it. Because I was going to do this whole PowerPoint, this whole thing, but I'm like, oh my gosh, well, we have the guide and we're going to talk about the guide. And then I'm also going to talk about this really great new tool I found called Cause IQ, which is a whole other big guide. So I didn't want to throw a bunch of pages and pages of information. Instead, I want to use the simple checklist, and we're going to go through each of these bubbles and help you guys focus on what matters most. And if there's anything that falls outside of these like bubbles or this checklist, we can talk about it, but this is where I'm going to prioritize our conversation. It's going to be talking about your profile, your image, and what matters most, the job alerts, the setup, and how to use the guide, for example, and what matters most, and then how follow and connection really will help improve your algorithm as well. Okay, so that will be the discussion for the next hour or so. Did I hear a question already? Or was that just someone accidentally going? Okay. So when I meet with mentees, they sometimes want to talk about their LinkedIn, and I'm open to talking about LinkedIn. This is a feature that this obviously hits us for the honing, right? Here at Hired, Public Health Hired, we talk about the Hired method. H stands for honing, right? And so the first H is the job search, is the hunting, is getting to know the job market, where your options are. And I've been someone who's been hungry in my own career, right? And I'm speaking again, always from my own experience and helping all of my peers, you guys. From my own experience, I never wanted to feel limited to one or two sectors, right? I started at the nonprofits and I knew that government was always an option, but I didn't want to feel limited. I genuinely wanted to feel like I think someday I could compete for private. I want to compete for healthcare, right? So I just want you guys to appreciate that the reason I'm also raising all of this with you guys is that I don't want you to feel limited, especially during these times, during these really tough times of the job market. And it's getting only harder as time goes on, given just the political climate and everything. So, with that said, when I talk with my mentees about how do I find more of them, you do have to take a few steps. And one of them does have to do with the most important feature is the logo association of your past employers. Now, this is something that everyone should look at and audit yourself. So I'm going to go to here we go. I'm going to go to my profile. And I put open to work right now just to kind of for the purposes of this webinar. Um, but essentially, you can use my LinkedIn if you want as sort of like a template on how much information to share. Like it's very optional, for example, how much you want to share here in the skills. But what matters most is really these logos. Okay. So the reason this matters is because when I do an audit and I look at my mentees, their logos will be this blank logo. So for example, if you go into if I want to like edit my logos, say I'm going to use Herbalife because Herbalife was a harder one for me to do. Because Herbalife, yes, I am a past distributor of Herbalife. I, Zoila, fell into the MLM multi-level marketing schemes of these companies back in 2007, trying to be a wellness coach. But when I was trying to associate to Herbalife, here we go. Notice how Herbalife has like, I don't know, 12, 8 options. And one of them is like this weird looking logo. It's blank. It's a square and a rectangle. Well, if you have that image, okay, and I save it and I go back to my logo, go back to my here. If any of your employer logos look like this, that's not good. Um, Very rarely should this be the case if it's a very tiny company or a tiny like I've seen this happen. It does happen when it's a dental office or it's a small family-owned company or it's a private company with say like, 15 employers. Like, okay, well they're not LinkedIn, they're not big on LinkedIn, they don't really need LinkedIn. They're kind of just a very small mom and pop shop that you happen to work at. Okay, great. But when it's a major company, which should be most of us should be able to identify our employers. In fact, I even had this one up here, Winters Healthcare, um, poorly associated up until I did my own audit for this webinar. So I was still effed up, guys. Okay, I still didn't even have the correct logo, and I had to add Herbalife, and I was so confused. Well, which one is it? Okay, so you guys need to do your due diligence. The best way you do this is you see who these companies are after you associate yourself to them. You want to make sure you go back and the company is actually the one, right? Here it is, over 400,000 followers. This is the actual company I'm looking for. They are headquartered in Los Angeles. Okay. And then you can find their jobs here. So all I'm saying is this is the biggest missed opportunity because I even work with some of you who say you represent like a research center or you were at a clinic site of a main hospital. And for some reason, you guys are only listing the clinic or the satellite office or the research center. And you completely leave yourself out of the network of the main company, right? The parent company. Okay, so your goal is to associate yourself to the right logos given the parent company. All right, so that is why I made in the checklist that was the biggest feature. Okay, did I hit hard on that? Because that to me is the biggest thing.
I have one question. This
Yeah,
is
hey
Renee.
Renee.
Hey, so like in a university setting, so for example, I was with the UNC School of Medicine Division of Global Women's Health on a
Yeah,
project I was working on. Should I just connect that to UNC Health because that's the biggest, or should I
correct.
medicine,
Correct.
which one?
Correct,
Okay.
Renee.
Okay.
Yes.
Just want to
Yes.
make sure I'm understanding
Yep.
you.
Definitely add about section experience in education as you see. Again, this has more to do with how do I say this? LinkedIn will not get you a job. It is not the thing you need to get a job. It is to support you. Okay? So it is to help almost confirm whether it's with recruiters or with peers or with future employers that for the most part, she says who she is on paper and that matches on LinkedIn. But I also want to remind you guys that there are public health professionals out there who don't have a LinkedIn. I meet them. They are out there. So it's not like you need LinkedIn to get the job necessarily, but it doesn't hurt to at least have some basic information like an about section that's similar to maybe like your summary that I teach you guys on your resume, as well as calling out some of your employers, most importantly, the logos, and then the titles of your, right, the past titles that you've had, and then your education and any certifications. The questions that I get most when it comes to profile is not only this open to work feature, So let me quickly talk about that. The open to work feature, you can make it for private view for recruiters, or you could make it public. So if you want to keep it private, say that you're thinking of quitting and you want to be open to work early, or you're about to start working, or you don't want your whole network to know, then yeah, keep it private. You can have the open to work in a private hidden way. So I just want you guys to all be aware that the open to work feature doesn't have to be the image you see here. It could be something that only recruiters can see, basically. And then in addition to that, the reason I don't push this on you guys is because I've also experienced where you're trying to keep your employment and finances personal, and your friends get word to your family, and your family starts to freak out, and they're not even aware of this process. And then the family pressures are, it's just too much sometimes to manage the expectation of finding work and you just trying to open up to your network. So this is why I leave it super optional. I have, believe it or not, walked mentees um down some really awkward situations of like so and so told so and so that I was open to work, and it just caused this can of worms. And I've even experienced myself where people thought that I was open to work. I'm like, no, I was just, trying to connect. I didn't know, right? Like, so just it's very optional, is all I'm saying. It's not required, and you don't even need a picture. You don't. Again, it's not required. These are all things. The thing that matters the most is the network, is your logos, is sort of the skill sets that you hold and how you demonstrate that. Not so much, not so much your smile or no, you don't need a photo. Okay, questions on that? Because the next thing I'm going to talk about is the rest of the profile. So let me go back to my profile. Okay. Now, the thing I get around this has to do with like the engagement of your profile, bringing attention to your profile, having people view you, having employers, having interest. One of the things I'm seeing people do, which I don't knock, I think it's a great idea, is you can definitely post your opinion, post, even better, repost an article, right? Something that speaks to you, you know, that might be fine, but making sure you're aware of how posts even work, right? So if you're trying to align with other people who maybe might be interested in something related to reproductive health or children's health, then make sure you tag those either companies or hashtags or anything around that is fine. Okay, so I have seen folks who are simply trying to get their, just get themselves out there. Like, hey, I have an opinion on this. I think this is interesting. And that does to some degree help them meaning folks who try this, get some sort of education or engagement on what's going on in the community and keeping a pulse in the network. So there is a way to engage in a healthy way, but it's not required. Again, this is not required. Okay. The other thing I get questioned about is like these skills, right? Because you can add skills and then people will like endorse you. And I think I've added these over the years. I haven't added one in so long. I don't even know how some of them get started. As you can see, this goes on, and it also starts to kind of doesn't it doesn't really matter. I want to say this doesn't really matter because look at the low level of endorsements you get. This is kind of one of the features that annoys me with LinkedIn because I think this is just another way of LinkedIn trying to keep us busy and like, hey, why don't you say Zoila's really good at, career development? But you don't really need to because my job is in career development. Like, I feel like this is again a way for LinkedIn just to keep you busy for busy purposes. But if you really wanted to add a few skill sets and try to get people to endorse you, I would say keep it to like 5 to 10. I honestly, guys, don't even know if LinkedIn just starts to add these because I don't remember adding career development. There's no endorsement here, right? Like, look at this. No, I didn't say this. This is just LinkedIn adding stuff, wanting people to endorse me. So don't go crazy. I think some of these I added. I can remember some of these I added, like program management, nonprofit management, public health, things like that. But this skill section is like a wash. Like I feel like pick pick 5 to 10 if you really wanted to, but don't waste your time on that. Instead, focus more on the skill sets being embedded here in the about section, in the description of your work. Okay, that's how you're gonna get more attraction. And again, you can pick a few skills, but I just feel like some folks start to go a little crazy about like, oh, I got to get all these endorsements. I'm like, don't, because I got like 2 or 10 endorsements and it does, and my network is over 8,000. It's like, okay, so I have 8,000 connections, but one person thinks I'm great at strategic partnerships. It doesn't do anything. Okay, so just wanted to make sure you guys are aware of that. Okay, questions on any other section of your profile? There's causes you can list, sure. But again, to me, we're going to get into other things that matter most. So, you know, anything else?
Hi, Zoila.
Hi, Janet.
Hi. Yes, yes, hi. I wanted to ask just about, I mean, I suppose it depends on how we see LinkedIn functioning for us, because you're sort of saying it's not going to get you a job, and I think we know that. I guess it's a profile, it's not a resume, and so on.
Correct,
But
correct.
and about how public health talent gets sought after anyway, because I've come to understand that, well, definitely we know for the tech world it's all about your keywords. It's all about how you optimize the phrasing and how you position
Yes.
yourself. And so I've come to, I mean, mine is, I get the sense that the banner, the words right under your name, and the about, and perhaps your experience section, even the skills, those are all potential keywords that recruiters would
Mm-hmm.
use.
Mm-hmm.
And but of course, now I don't know that in public health. I don't know if others their inboxes are full of recruiters seeking them out. I know they are in the tech world, right? Um, but it's just sort of you're sort of saying it actually doesn't matter that much. I mean, I agree. The skills definitely are random and they're endorsed by that one colleague you're friends with or whatever. But so, do you feel that on the whole, it's not about designing our profile to be so keyword coherent between how you want to position yourself, especially because you might want to do lots of different roles. So you're saying overall it doesn't super matter, we shouldn't try to keyword stuff.
Yes, because what I'm about to show you, just I got a little lost where my little thingy is. This is where you start, just going back to your point, it is a profile. It is not your resume. It's almost like a
Yeah,
tertiary level of ensuring you are who you are. Keep in mind,
yeah,
the final candidate will get a background check. They'll take your blood if they want. Like they'll find
yeah,
out who you are. The LinkedIn doesn't really do anything for them if you are their ideal final candidate. It is more of a communication tool. I know my past employers have, before they interview me, the day of that morning or the night before, they'll just like poke and see, like, oh, who's Zoila? Yes, that's nice and convenient. But even if they didn't see you on LinkedIn, it wouldn't be a do or die. I know people who get,
mm,
it's like, oh, okay, well, she doesn't have a LinkedIn, but clearly they pass the interviews, they pass the reference checks, and they say who they are given their background check, then they get the job, right? I think it's more
right.
that I'm trying to help you guys with realizing, and this is a good question, jumping into, say, the language and the terminology. The reason that if you get bogged down in getting these endorsements of skill sets and all of that, you're not keeping up with the trends of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to move quickly, which is why the job alerts is also more important and why we can talk about the guide in a minute. But before I move
Okay.
on, I saw a question about the banner. Did I answer the question about the banner? Because I want to make sure I understand the question about the banner. Are you talking about the image
Yeah,
or are you
I
talking
guess
about this part up
yeah,
here?
definitely not the image, the actual
Okay.
words under
Yes.
your name.
Yes. Yes. here I would say I've seen some folks pick sort of based off their description of themselves, kind of a focus area they feel a champion behind. But some of us don't have focus areas we feel a champion behind. And I don't want you guys to feel that's a requirement either, right? Because you can say you're, you know, you're uh, skilled at project management and program management or at scaling, right? That is also valued. You don't have to say a specific help like focus area. So for example, right now I have a mentee who's really he has a really strong background in finance and different like sort of cash registration spaces he's been in. And right now he's helping with substance use treatment. And he's like a financial administrator of some sort. So like he doesn't, he's dabbled in stuff, but he's like, well, I'm just really strong at financial management. I'm like, there you go. Like that's something you could put on your banner, right? Around financial management, accounts management, partnership management. But that's not, again, that's more skill set versus focus area.
Mm, mm. So, so,
So that's
so
what,
then
mhm.
basically your profile you shouldn't worry that your LinkedIn profile has to match every job application you've sent out there in a
No,
sense.
no, no,
Yeah,
no,
that kind
no, no,
I guess
no,
that's the, because we apply for
no,
lots of different things.
no.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my
Okay.
gosh, Janet, thank you so much for reminding me that I do teach you guys to tailor your resume, but on LinkedIn, you
You
shouldn't
know?
be changing it.
Yeah.
I am simply trying to
Yeah.
help you find some terms that you're, overall happy with. It's not a do or
Yeah.
die if, right, certain terminology doesn't match completely. Keep in mind, I've done this. So I've had these jobs posted, and when I'm tailoring, they're just saying like, okay, she said she worked at the American Lung Association. For the most part, this looks right up the alley.
Yeah.
Maybe on my resume, I changed it to, California Director of Community Engagement. And here I say
Hmm.
I'm State Director of Health Education. They'd be like, okay, well, still matches, they may just have a question around like, hey, what was your real title? I would just be like, oh yeah, they changed it, or I used two different
Hmm.
titles given the context of our work, or this was my classification, this was my, business title. Like there are ways
Mm.
to move the conversation along without feeling like you. So the tailoring isn't a big deal, is all I'm saying. The
Okay. Great.
LinkedIn can be more of just a standard representation of who you are. Yes, yes, Jen.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Uh-huh. All right, I see people are joining. Just for those of you who are joining a little late, I already dropped a Calendly link for booking. If anyone can tell me if there's no more times available, let me know. I'm just assuming folks are fine with what's going on. Um, I don't see any complaints. I'm just looking at the chat. Okay. All right, so how the hell does Zoila do job alerts and keep up with the job market? And how do you improve your LinkedIn algorithm so you see more jobs and you feel like you're also keeping up with the sign of the times? So I have developed a guide. If you guys don't remember, I had a 2023 version. There's now a 2026 version. I do want to remind you that the 2023 version is still housed within the 2026. It's a little hyperlink. So if you feel like it's still not enough, go back to the old one because the old one still works as far as I would say like 60-70% of the guide still works, but about 40 to 30% has sort of been reworked into the new guide, given the changes, given the climate of the times. So the guide has a few sections. I'm going to jump quickly to the salary page. Oops, because this was the first stop. Oh my God, this is the first stop. Sorry, guys. Here we go. On your sense making of your skill set, because obviously we are in it for the money too. Like we all love public health, but we also need money. Duh. And some of us are looking for some decent wage, livable wage, and inflation is happening. So we're all real about our life. All of this to say, this is your first stop on terminology to use for your job alerts if you are looking for a certain income bracket. Okay. So even if you don't completely understand some of this terminology, you can go back to the 2023 guide or the 2026 guide. to better understand this terminology so you can see if you fit or if there's some assumptions you're making about your skill set. Okay, so this is your first stop. And if this is already making sense for you, you're welcome to literally take this terminology like strategic planning and program development or data analysis and process improvement and plug them away into your actual job alerts. Well, what does this mean? Let me show you. This is the full set of alerts or key terms that you could use. I wanted to remind you guys that the new guide has asterisks for jobs that provide increased chances in finding remote jobs. So if you want to work from home, start with the asterisk. If you want to make six figures, $100,000, start with the money. So I put little dollar signs next to the ones that give you $100,000 or over. What I mean is when I and my mentees use these terminologies, use this term, we surprisingly find either much more remote options or a lot more six-figure options when we use this terminology. So we love it, and we thought we would share it out that this actually has been working for us. So now let me show you what you do. If I can find here we go. So how do you get to your notifications bell to look like this? Okay. Now, it took me a while to realize that when I would say job alerts, I think some of you thought that I would just be in the jobs tab and be like down here in the jobs for you. And I was like, no, 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 I do not hang out over here, guys. In this jobs for you tab, I hate this tab. I hate it. So I will tell you why. Jobs for you is like, and I don't know why I can't click on it, but I know that you guys are in here because my mentees have been in here and they just assume, oh, I thought this is what my alerts do for me is they show me all of these jobs for you. And no, what it does is it actually is just posting, it's helping like the jobs that nobody wants be noticed. Okay. So it's helping this one that isn't getting noticed get my attention. And I don't want its attention. I don't want it. So I don't go in here. Okay. Or it's something that is easy apply. A lot of easy applies sit down in here. And that's the stuff I tell you guys to avoid because that's when more scamming could be introduced. That doesn't mean that scamming is going to be 100%, but I would prefer that you find the company website and apply directly on the company website to reduce scamming. That's why. So I just don't like more jobs for you in general. So when it comes to the jobs tab or jobs where you'd be a top applicant, no, I don't spend my time here. Why do I want to be a franchise business consultant? No. So this is also where they, meaning employers who maybe pay for sponsorships or right, look, it says this is 2 months ago. So it's throwing me old stuff. That's not what I teach you guys. The best practices is within 7 days or 24 hours or 3 days, you guys need to be searching. Stop searching for old or anytime posted or 30 days old. So please be aware that the jobs tab is only helpful if you want to review like your recent searches. Okay. And that's kind of it. Okay. What matters is your preferences here, because this is your alerts. Do not worry about your pay. Do not worry about your pay because you have to learn that even these companies will hide their pay in the weeds of the description of their jobs. And this is happening if you want to make six figures. For those of you who want to make more money, do not use this feature because most companies that want high talent, top talent, they make you, they're looking for the people who identify the skill set. So they will not disclose their salary easily. You have to read through the job. And that's why I don't even like this feature. Okay, instead, only focus here. Yes, open to work. You guys can, figure that out. Here's the one that's all LinkedIn members or recruiters only. I'll save mine back. No, I don't want to add pay preference. Okay, so this is what your job alerts should look like. It needs to be a mix of three things. Are you ready? What are the three things? Skill sets, focus areas, and one-word titles. Notice how I have associate, lead, consultant. That's one word titles. Versus all the others, it could either be, again, skill set or focus area, or even descriptors would be fine. I'm working with a lot more mentees who have software proficiencies in like Deduce or RedCap or even like spread smart sheets, and they want to use and capitalize that proficiency. So I'm asking them to use that as an alert. So if you have a proficiency that is unique, um, especially now that I gave you guys the guide, you should feel more welcome to come forward with any proficiencies so that you feel like, oh, well, like as I've been sharing the guide, you guys are like, oh, wow, I've taken the FEMA 100 course. I didn't know I could list that. I'm like, yeah, I wonder if you search FEMA 100, you could probably find companies that want someone who's taken that course, right? That's how you use these alerts. Okay. Now, what happens when you use these alerts and you set them up? One of the ways that you want to do it is you need to test it, guys. You don't want to just pick random, you know, so sometimes my mentees will just like pick random terms that they attract to. Well, they'll be like, oh, data governance. Yeah, that's new. Like, what's that? And they just kind of run with it without really, but then they'll find that their alert isn't yielding actual things that align with them. So you first should, okay, should test it. What that means is first check it out. So here's the guide just to tell you guys, you want to maximize your 15 alerts. You want to mix it with the titles and the skill sets. Okay. You can refer to the guide. And then last, I want you guys to be aware, if you find a job you like, you can save it. You don't have to apply. A save is a like in the world of LinkedIn. So if there's something that you're attracted to and you've never seen it before, you're like, wow, that's unique. I like that. Go ahead and save it. Even if you're not going to actually apply to it, just save it, because I find that some of my mentees will use that save feature as an actual like project management tool for their applications, and I tell them don't do that. Just tell LinkedIn, yes, I like this. I want more of these. That's what it's for. And then be sure that you use the classic view, not the beta view. So I'm about to go in here to see if I can show you the difference. Sometimes I don't see it anymore. But say I'm in here and I'm going to try data governance. I'm interested in data management. I've never heard of data governance. It's speaking to me. Okay, here we go. This is what I mean. Be mindful if you are in beta versus classic. So do not, I repeat, do not try their new job search up here on the right. If I'm losing you because you're tired, please pay attention. Please pay attention. This is so important. Do not click on this AI powered search. Okay, this is not helping anyone. The reason is because it locks you out of certain features. And this whole location is jacked up. Okay, so if your location is confusing you and you can't seem to change it, um, it there's something going on with how this AI powered search is not helping. It has not helped me. I can't find things easily. So please keep to this classic as much as you can. Maybe LinkedIn will notice that we are not liking their beta. So just please be careful. The reason I like this is because now you can search, now you can set your alerts this way. So if you say data governance and you look through these, okay, you want to see that you have a healthy list. Oh, they posted anytime. We don't do that. It's a little slow for some reason. It says it has 4,000 results. Oh, that's weird. My LinkedIn is tired. Oh, LinkedIn, don't give up on me. I've never seen that happen before. Anyways, let me just try to get through my point, which is if you like what you see here, if you notice there's diversity in the titles and the types of sectors, right? Oh, here's an international company, here's a foundation, here's an association. Maybe you see, here's another foundation. You notice some universities. Then yes, this is great. This is exactly what you want. And then you can save it. Okay, here you can save it. And that's when you know that it's worth saving. The only limitation here is that you have to set it with the location you want, whether you want it remote and the date. So these are your only limitations is once you set the location and the date posted for your alert and you set it, that's set. And if you want to undo it, you have to undo the whole thing. So that's the only like real limitation of these is the actual location and how soon you want it to feed you. Now, I recommend it feeds you every 24 hours because even 1 week lately, some of these jobs are being pulled within 3, 4, 5 days. I am not lying. I am not trying to get you worried about it. I'm just being honest. The best time spent is getting them to be 24 hours. The reason is because when you then go to your little bell icon, not your suitcase icon, go to your bell notifications, you will see your alerts here, view jobs. And now you can go through. So this was the last 24 hours. And if I want to go back to the other last 24 hours, I just keep going down my feed. So in other words, LinkedIn, every morning I wake up and I got a new batch. I got a new batch. I got a new batch. This is the best way to prevent burnout. You guys are burning your eyes out and you're tired because if you're doing like every 7 days, you might be seeing repeats. Versus if it's every 24 hours, LinkedIn is only going to give you what was just posted yesterday, 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 today, today, today. Okay, so this is one of the best ways that I don't get burnout is the 24-hour feature. And I'm sorry, but my little LinkedIn is like putting on me. Look at this. It's like, stop using me. I'm tired. Okay, questions on this. How to set your alerts, how to look for them. I'm going to go now in the next 10 minutes. I see I need to wrap it up, but I want to finish wrapping it up by how you grow your network with companies and people. So I don't want to lose you guys before that point. So do I have questions? Should we be using job match details? Job match details on LinkedIn. Lauren, did I pass that feature?
So like, you know how you're on the leasing consultant and then it says like we're premium and it says like your job match is medium and review the match details. Should we be
Oh,
using that at all?
no, no. Because again, that goes back to like the skill set that it's being tied to you, and then premium is trying to what I find is that that they're catering to employers that are paying on the back end. They're paying to they're trying to get the employers busy. So they're using us to just keep their inboxes busy, whether or not you're correctly aligned. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Which is why it's still, I mean, if you're curious, go through it, but from my experience, it's still dead ends. It's dead ends. So let me know if you find anything otherwise. Okay, so as far as oh yeah, this feature. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, I don't pay attention to that. I also don't pay attention to how many people apply. Okay, I don't care how many people apply. I care how old it is. So if it's like 24 hours old and 100 people applied, you're good. Don't worry about it. If it says it's 7 days old and 100 people applied, you're good. Apply. It doesn't matter. It's how old it is. Okay. Most people who are applying don't know what they're doing. So just keep telling yourself that most of these are a wash. Okay. going to our last point so I can maximize your guys' time is how do you grow your LinkedIn and maximize your time on here? Because what I find is some of you are even shy for some reason to make friends virtually when in a post-COVID world, I feel like most of us should not be shy in a virtual world. So I am here to encourage you guys to make friends with strangers online, which is probably the worst thing I should be saying. I should not be encouraging this, but keep in mind, LinkedIn is a professional setting. It is for us to network. It is for us to find like-minded colleagues. So even if all you have to say is, hi, would love to connect, we have a public health interest. People will connect. I am happy to connect with anyone who sends me a a connection, even if I've never met them, which is why I have 8,000 connections on my LinkedIn. You think I've worked with 8,000 people? No. I've probably, of my 8,000 connections on LinkedIn, I've probably really reached out to like the 500, maybe 700. So the rest is really from all of, from just networking, even with prior to Public Health Hired, I was always just connecting with people. So please connect with people versus follow companies. I wanted to hit hard on this follow versus connect because there is a difference. So when you find people, you'll notice there's an option to follow them or connect with them. And LinkedIn is defaulting to follow. So you have to do the extra effort to find the connect feature because they don't want, they basically want, um, LinkedIn would prefer that we connect with folks who we know, right, in a real world. And so that is the connect feature. And if you don't know them, that's the follow feature. But given that we are trying to advance our careers, I say connect. Connect with people, but follow companies. Okay? Connect with the real people and follow the companies. That's the easiest rule that I have for my mentees. Now, if you are shy and you don't want to make friends with people because you're like, no, I want to keep it to the people I've really worked with, which is like 20 people. Okay, cool, do you? So why don't you instead focus on the companies that you're going to follow based on all of this wonderful diversity that we have for our employers? And if some of you are like, well, I don't know any employers. Well, that's why the guide exists. That's why the first page of the guide is there. Go ahead and start following, people just from the first guide. Not people, I mean companies, right? So you don't know who to follow? Here's your start. This is a guide of a diverse set of companies, private, public, government, just to get you started. And if that's not enough, that's why you use the job alerts to try to find companies based on the search terms you find. If there's companies that you're learning about or you're noticing, oh, wow, I just noticed this foundation. Oh, wow, here's a university I didn't know about. Then you follow that company. Go ahead and follow them, okay? This is going to make a huge difference on your feed. Of all the things that my mentees have done, they've said once they started to follow this diversity of companies, they start to see a lot more on their feed. Okay, so a mix of this should unlock and get your walls down, especially if some of you feel like, well, all I see is a lot of hospitals and all I see is a bunch of nonprofits. Try to dig deep and find some other diversity, right? Maybe some membership-based associations for the workforce or some consulting groups, right? And again, if you guys are stuck, this is why exploring, getting on Google, this is how I found this cause IQ guide. Did you guys check that out? Did I drop it in the chat? Here, I'm gonna put it one more time. I am obsessed with this. Oh my God, this has helped me and my mentees in the last few months. Really, when I say months, I mean like the beginning of the year because I was trying to grapple with like all of the questions of like, where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? And finally, one of my mentees was like, okay, Zoila, I hear you saying that we need to follow these companies, but I want to stay in New York City. I love living in New York City and I'm born and raised in New York City and I don't want to just follow a bunch of random companies when I want to stay in New York City. And I'm like, girl, I got you. I hear you. So I sent her this because you can also search by city. So look at this. You can search companies that have causes behind them, meaning whether it's health related, whether it's like housing related, human service organizations. This company, Cause IQ, is the easiest directory that I have found for us because our cause in public health is basically all of these causes: health organizations, international, civil rights, social justice, mental health, business and community development, disease-focused nonprofits. Here's some foundations. Here's some science and research, medical research, crime, public sector. I am obsessed with this directory. And if you just want to stay local or in your state, then you can also search based on that. Okay. So I will end the note on this and I'll stay for about 5 minutes because I want to respect our time. But I'm here to really motivate you guys and helping you rest assured that you can find the companies you seek. You just have to relax, not feel like, your assumptions of what you thought your job was going to look like. I think my goal is to help you see that there's more out there. Not every company is on LinkedIn, so maybe this is another avenue for you. And if you're stuck, I'm always here for a quick conversation versus via DM, and make sure that you book your bonus time. Okay. So, and on that, thank you so much for everyone for coming. Use the checklist in the chat to help you. Here it is again, the view of the checklist, because of all the things to focus on, these are the spaces to stay on. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. I hope this helps your LinkedIn spring cleaning. I'll stay on for questions or if there's any issues with the booking. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Happy National Public Health Week. Go get hired. Let's get you hired.